Hello friends, Ben Ochart here. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have a question for you today. Why in the world would you pay 3 to 5 times more for the same size of tank to get a tank custom made instead of buying one from a local pet store or a big box pet store like a Petco or a PetSmart? Why would you pay 3 to 5 times more for a custom tank? Is it worth it? Let's talk about it right now. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell and thumbs up. And let's keep the channel growing. We're close to 45,000. So let's send a message to YouTube that something good is going on here if you like the content of the channel. For those of you that have already done that, thank you so much. It is very appreciated. So let's get into today's topic. Why buy a custom-made tank when you can get the same tank or the same size tank for a lot less? Granted, a custom-made tank is not for everybody. Let me just put that right out there. If you're brand new to the hobby and you have a limited budget and you're not even entirely sure if this hobby is for you, you haven't really bought in, but you're checking it out, I would not suggest that you invest in a very high-end and expensive custom tank. Really know that this hobby is one that you enjoy on all levels, right? On the pluses and the minuses, right? You enjoy the fish, you enjoy the work involved in taking care of those fish. You can tolerate the ups and downs of the hobby, such as fish loss or disease, and bounce back from it and keep going. Just make sure that you can weather that kind of thing and you're okay with what's required to really maintain a tank before you consider getting into a custom tank. Now, once you're there, once you feel like you're really committed to the hobby and are in it for the long haul and are now investing in some higher end fish, and you really are into having the best possible look of a tank, now might be the time. If your budget allows, now might be the time for you to consider a custom tank. What are the advantages? Well, first of all, and probably most obviously, you get into workmanship and materials. One of the things I've noticed about the custom tanks that I have is that the work with the glues and the silicone, which really hold it all together, is just beautiful. It's just perfect. Compare this thickness in glass. This is about 3/4 to an inch. Compare that thickness in glass and the workmanship of the silicone. Compare that to this 55-gallon over here. This is a 55-gallon tank I picked up at a big box store here locally. Compare that to this here. You see the gaps and the bubbles and the imperfections? And I'm not sure if you can tell, but there's algae starting to work its way in there. And if that algae gets all the way through, it could conceivably create a leak at some point that I'll need to get in there and have to scrape that silicone and reseal this tank. Check that out. Also, if you look at how this tank here, the home of the Zonatas here, if you look at this tank, and I'll show you this, I'll demonstrate this to you by sliding this over. This is one of those scrapers. When I slide it over, it hits here like a bumper. Because this glass This glass is about a 16th of an inch. This front panel is about a 16th of an inch off and sticks out. So this was not placed precisely to give me a clean 90-degree angle here. I mean, I'm sure it's still glued and holding together, and all things considered, this silicone is not bad compared to what I've shown you. This is not too bad. But right here, this glass is actually off. I'd say about maybe a 16th of an inch off. But the silicone, they did a good job on the silicone as compared to this one here, where the silicone has obvious, gaps and bubbles, and now algae is working its way in there. So the workmanship, and workmanship involves other issues as well. And when I say materials, probably the most obvious one is not just the putting together of glass. The other aspect is the thickness, the type of glass that's being used. The custom tanks that I have range anywhere from a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch in the thickness of glass. And what that means is that there's just a lot more adhesive, a lot more surface area that is holding together, as opposed to a thinner, right? A 1/4 inch, 3/4 inch piece of glass is going to have a lot less adhesive contact area, and because of that, it will be more likely to develop an issue and to come unstuck over time. This is especially true for folks who like to do a lot of large water changes, because you're constantly reducing and increasing the pressure on those seals. You're constantly stretching and expanding and contracting the silicone. And so if that silicone is not doesn't have as much contact area and was done a bit sloppily, where there are air bubbles and algae working its way in, you could be headed for some problems. So the thickness of the glass, the amount of contact space, the amount of square inches of glued together tank can make a big difference in the long haul. If you look at the bottom of the new tank that I just picked up, the 300 gallon, you'll see that it has reinforcements. There are reinforcements along the bottom, along the sides, at the front and the back. There are also, and it's a little bit hard to tell in the video, but there are also triangular pieces, long, thin, triangular pieces that are glued into the corners of the tank. Also, you have a double stacked glass at the top of the tank. So it's braced very, very strongly with, again, a lot of adhesive, a lot of square inches of silicone and glues. So that's going to provide you with a lot more weight. It took 7 of us to move that 300 gallon onto the stand. 850 pounds, I think, was the estimated weight empty. But you're gonna have a lot more weight, but you're gonna have what James Largo over at the Cichlids shack in Arizona, he just picked up 75 custom-made tanks from, or 75 gallon, a whole bunch of 75 gallon custom-made tanks from Glass Cages over in Dixon, Tennessee, and he said they're battleships. They were noticeably way heavier, and his impression was that these were the last 75 gallon tanks that he'd ever have to buy for those racks that he built, because they're going to last forever. Thicker glass, reinforced on the inside, and just built to last forever, really. In some cases, the aquarium builder can also make for you a custom stand that fits the kind of thing you're looking for, that fits your taste and style that you would like. So very often a custom tank builder can do that for you as well. All three of the stands that are being used with the glass cages aquariums were custom built by Glass Cages. In some cases, that also helps to keep in force the warranty that's being offered by the company. They would prefer that you use one of their stands so that they know that you have the tank positioned correctly and stable and level. So, workmanship, materials, the quality of the seams, the square inches of the silicone. Another point is warranty. Not sure of the warranty you get on the store-bought, like the 255s behind me. I'm not sure what kind of warranty, maybe a 1-year warranty. And then if something goes wrong, I've heard horror stories of people trying to get the companies, and I'm not going to mention any names, but get some of these mass-produced companies to step up and do something about it. And they'll ask you 1,000 questions. They'll ask you about your stand, about the flooring, about the level, about what you're using it for, blah, 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 blah. And some people might just give up and say, forget it, I'm just going to trash it and buy another tank. But when you have a relationship with a custom tank builder, you're going to have an individual that you can call, and that person's going to work with you, not only in the building of the tank, but also in the follow-up. And very often those warranties can last 5 years. In some cases, I've heard some companies offer lifetime warranties or allow you the option to purchase more and more years of warranty for a replacement if something were to go wrong. Not available with your store-bought mass-produced tanks. Now, that personal service, that personal touch, that's also very important, especially in large tanks, and especially if you're, let's say you're a serious breeder, or you're running expensive reef tanks, you have thousands of dollars of stock, invested in the tank. You're going to want to be able to pick up the phone and call somebody and ask a question about the tank and get a legitimate answer in a relatively short period of time. And that comes with custom-made aquariums. The other thing that I like a lot about custom tanks is that you provide the specs. You tell the builder, this is what I need, this is what I need it for. Whether you want an overflow in the back corners of the tank, on the far left, so you do like a peninsula style, or maybe you want a closed loop system with drains on the bottom, or whatever your dream tank is, and whatever space you're going to put it in, which requires a custom size, not commercially available. A custom tank builder can do that for you. You want a 3.5 across by 2.5 front to back by 3 feet tall. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You provide the spec to the builder, and the builder will then make the tank to fit whatever your requirements are. And as the building process progresses, you're able to work with that builder to, on getting updates, progress reports, and in some cases, if you're close to the builder, able to stop by and see how things are coming along. So again, a big advantage, and certainly things that are important to somebody who's going to be putting a tank in a very specific location in a home, in a very specific nook or a wall or something like that, and it really needs to have a precise dimension, and that builder will work with you on that. So the advantages are tremendous, but that being said, it's not for everybody. That kind of investment should only be undertaken if you're fully committed and very serious about being in the hobby, because it is going to be much more expensive, and it's a tank that's going to probably be working and functioning for as long as you're in the hobby, until the day comes where you want to sell or move or do something. That tank will be functioning. So if that's the situation you want, make the investment if you have the budget. If not, then I would suggest you do what I did years ago. and that was hunt in places like Craigslist, on eBay, find the deals, and be willing to reseal a tank, and things like that. But you can also get into some big tanks for some good deals if that's what you need at this point in your fish keeping career. Both ways work, and but if you have the budget and you're at that point where you're all in, consider a custom tank from a reputable custom tank builder. In my case, I've been using Glass Cages over in Dixon, Tennessee. I've developed a relationship there with Joe, and I'm very happy with the aquariums that I've acquired from them. So that's my 2 cents on custom aquariums. If they fit your budget and you're that committed to the hobby, look into them, and I don't think you'll be disappointed, because they really do provide something that is a noticeable cut above what you get in mass-produced commercial aquariums. All right, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you on Saturday, where we can talk about this and a whole lot more at the Cichlids and Coffee live stream, Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Time, and usually runs for about an hour. And if you'd like to support the channel, apart from viewing the videos, giving them a thumbs up and subscribing and hitting that bell, consider becoming a member of the Garage Gang and a Patreon member. The details on how to become a Patreon member, it's a monthly membership, starts at about $3 a month. Those details are under the video in the notes. Comment below if you have had experience with custom tanks. I would love to hear what you have to say. Thank you, my friends. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.